Start recording. Okay, good to go. Okay, here we have Severn with inner voices. Uh, um, how shall I address you?
Just Severn is fine, or
Ernst.
Sev, either or. No need for the last name. It's all good.
Cool, cool. Uh, so how would you define your film in inner voices? Like, would you say it's a documentary or what it's like genre? What it's what do you say?
It's more of an experimental, like an art installation, almost like an art piece. Not necessarily. There's no narrative. There's no true story of development of characters. It's not really a documentary. Uh, it's more. It's just more of an experimental. How I describe it's just an art piece, like an art installation.
Hmm. But I would say there's still like a rising action and catharsis in the end. Catharsis.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Uh, ca- uh, catharsis. I don't know how to say it in English.
Um, you're talking about the ending.
Well, yeah. Okay, never mind. Uh,
Okay.
is this your first serious project, serious film?
So this is my thesis film for to graduate from college for film college at LA Film School. So I had a couple projects prior to this, just a couple um, just narrative shorts that were exciting. One is called The Space of Peace. It's about mental illness. And there's another one called Pretty Ugly Dreams about a Broadway singer making the wrong mistake and doing anything to get it back type of thing. This one is I filmed it during COVID, the lockdown of COVID, and it was the first project I had to do everything, like everything, because of the COVID lockdown.
Hmm.
The
Uh,
original idea was a lot bigger, but this was like, okay, I can do this on my own.
uh, uh, can you say how did you find these people, and was it hard to make them like confess their like most deeper, most deepest feelings?
Yeah, yeah. So here in Atlanta, Georgia, right when COVID happened, like when we locked down in April, that's when I was starting. That's when I was going to start filming, and the industry out here locked everything down. Told all actors, do not do projects, do not do this, do not do that. So it was a little bit more difficult to find actors that are willing to do something that have grit in their talent. So I just went on Craigslist and I went through the painstaking of trying to find the right people because, to be honest, Craigslist is not reliable, you know. And I got
I'm sorry. Could
yeah,
you explain what Craigslist is for our Russian viewers because not everybody
oh,
knows.
right. So Craigslist is what is Craigslist? All right, Craigslist is just like a flea market. Um, where you sell things and you don't split any profits for anyone. It's like if you have a job, you're seeking for someone that has a certain skill set, or you're selling a car, or selling pottery, anything that you can think of that you can sell or find a job in general. Craigslist is the free market for the
Hmm.
free for people to post.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
yeah. So it's a little bit. It's not reliable, as in the people that you get. You're better off meeting someone off the street and getting a reliable response off of that versus Craigslist because you get a variety of characters,
Hmm.
reliable or not. But I lucked out. the process. I think I'll interview like 50 to 100. Yeah, I think it was like 60 actors. I went through all their information and I landed the ones that I came up with because I wanted a challenge. They didn't have a whole lot of skills in acting. They were new, but they were honest about it. And I was actually looking for honesty rather than I have talent talk, you know?
Hmm.
And
I'm sorry, your sound cut off. I can hear you. Hmm.
you're able to hear me now?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
there it is. Um, you asked if was it a challenge to have the actors be vulnerable,
Hmm.
and basically I spent 2.5 hours before I filmed just talking to them, just interviewing them, and finding out who they are as a person. And I gave them the option to either create a character or be themselves. And usually all of them decide to be themselves. So once we decide to have them be themselves, then I start digging like as like a counselor or a therapist, just really start digging at some information that they give me. And it's a good thing that I'm a counselor or certified counselor as
Hmm.
well, so it kind of helps in a way, um a lot actually. So I just kept on prying while the camera's rolling, and then I save that information and we film the non-verbal part just as is. So I would talk to you and you just react to me. And you say no, you don't say any words, no nothing. And your camera is like right there, like right on you, like right now. Okay. And that's the frame. And I'll just film you reacting. We go through them, good happy vibes to all the way to the sad vibes and back up to like a peaceful meditation vibe at the very end of the project. So I give them a roller coaster of stuff.
Hmm.
And each person had their own challenges. So it was really interesting to, as a director, pull what I want from them because sometimes they just wouldn't do it. So I had to figure out another way to move them. So it was a lot of fun,
Hmm.
stressful, fun.
What would you say was the most difficult one to pull off? Like to suss out any what you wanted?
Yeah. So there's the bald gentleman in my project.
Hmm.
Um, his name's Tim. He was he acted to react, which I didn't want. He wasn't reacting. He was acting to react. So everything was over the top. And it was frustrating to bring him back down, calm him down. And it's like, I really don't want you to react. Like, don't act. I just want you to experience and let the camera do the work. Camera's doing all the work. You're acting. I don't want that. And so it was a challenge. That one took the longest to film.
Yeah.
But what I got out of them, a lot of it was pretty solid. And there's choices that as a director and an editor you have to make. And unfortunately, not everyone has the same amount of screen time because in a scene, if it doesn't move forward the story, it's pointless. And so a lot of good nuggets just didn't make sense within the pattern I was going with. So
Hmm. You said you finished LA Film School. How did this education help you to make this project? Like, how
right,
did it help you in general?
yeah. So I'm older, and I'm 42, and when I was, 3 or 4 years ago, yeah, 4.5 years ago, I wanted to do a career change, and I want to get in the film industry. And I didn't want to be a PA, a production assistant, for 4 to 5 years. I don't have time for that. I'm not in my young 20s. So it was recommended by my contacts in the film industry to go to school to figure out your path, eliminate the PA process of learning each area of the film industry, and just go to school and learn it. I chose LA Film School because they taught classes the way I learned, like how I learned, one class at a time, 1 month at a time. I'm severely dyslexic, so if you have
Mm.
5 classes at once, it's too much information. So they teach their classes polar opposite what standards are, which is a semester, 4 or 5 classes. This is just one class, 1 month, and then you have a 2 week break here and there, and you just keep on rolling. So
Mm.
what takes 4 years or 5 years to get a degree, it takes like three, because it's constant, it's ever flowing. And
Mm.
the way they teach you allows to be, it makes you independent to create your own little projects, but also trains you to be collaborative with people around you, with your team. So when this project came to my hand, when my thesis, I was ready to have a crew of 20 and a cast of like 10 to nail out a really cool sci-fi thriller, you know, 15 to 20
Mm.
minutes short. But COVID happened, and that ruined everything. But at the same time, it allowed me to get creative and problem solve what I need to do. And a thesis film, doing it on your own, is not impossible, but problematic,
Mm.
because there's no one to bounce ideas, no one to help you. So, what would take pre production for a group of 5 people has, like, say, like it's 3 weeks of pre production. Now it's stretched out longer because it's just
Mm.
one person. And how I dealt with pre production, I just focus on one job, one day at a time. You know, cinematography. I took 2 days to problem solve that. And then for directing, I took 2 days. Then like producing, I took like 3 days on that one. So I took the job separate, and I just solved all the problems at once, not everything at once. I made
Mm.
my apartment, my living room, into my own studio,
Mm.
because there was no place to film.
Yeah.
Like, well, I got this space, so I painted. I reconstructed my living room into dampening paints, non-reflective paint, sound absorbing blankets and mats. Like, I did everything that you could do to make it a professional sounding as possible. And
Mm.
the only problem I had was sound, because
Mm.
I'm not a sound guy. So it was like I was lost. So I seeked out friends and, like, hey, how do I solve this problem? And they helped me out remotely. And my mistakes within editing and sound, I covered it up with, you have to get creative now. You have to cover up what would be a good filler is just ambient noise, like an AC going off. You know, there's that little drone that you hear
Mm.
within the short. That's covering up the holes of the vocals. So you kind of had to get creative of where you lack, you know,
Mm.
like, so yeah. And so the school that I went to gave us those problems. It's like, have fun, solve them with a team, solve them. And that's how I came. That's how I attacked my thesis film, is through one class at a time, so one role at a time, And then a couple weeks later, I started filming. Took me a couple weeks, but longer. Cost me a little bit more money, but it was worth it.
Hmm. You said sci-fi thriller like in the beginning. That sounds pretty interesting. What was that about?
It was about a. Okay. It was a guard who was married, who had the couple had fertility problems, and he was a guard at another. Here in the United States, we have Area 51. Okay.
Hmm.
So I came up with an idea of, since I live in Georgia, so I came up with Area 51G, meaning Georgia. Okay. G for Georgia. And where there's a base in Georgia that deals with the supernatural, aliens, or any weird stuff that happens in Georgia, or could, or shipped to, whatever. So he was guarding. He was a guard at the space, and one of his prisoners or aliens that was there, um, they started a bond together,
Hmm.
and the bond, um, he ultimately, there's two paths. I could say the alien broke out, or the guard helped them to break out. But anyway,
Hmm.
the alien touched the guard. Fast forward, all of a sudden, his wife is pregnant. Then, at the end of the short, we find out that the alien confronts his wife. So that's not his child; it's mine,
Hmm.
because he transferred his DNA through the touch, or through a like some type of chemical exchange by a touch type thing, like his, like the aliens, like sweat or oils on his hands or tentacles, whatever. You get all sciencey and nerdy about it,
Oh,
but
okay, okay, I got it.
yeah, it makes a
Uh,
chemical change with the human, and the human transfers to his wife, and then all of a sudden it's a baby.
so I understand that you left LA for Georgia, right?
Correct.
Why did you do it? Like, what motivated you?
Sure, sure. So in the film world, in United States, 75% of film is done in Atlanta, in Georgia.
Hmm.
So all the projects are all coming to Atlanta, Georgia. One, because it's less expensive. Two, there's a wonderful tax incentive for all film productions.
Hmm.
As long as you spend, I think it's $1 million, you get a hefty percentage back, like
Hmm.
30%
Okay.
off of your spending. So it increases your budget dramatically. And it's a wonderful thing. Plus, it's really inexpensive. The apartment that I live in would have cost close to $4,000 in LA.
Oh.
I pay a fraction of that. So the
Okay.
cost of living in LA is too much. Atlanta, lots less expensive,
Hmm.
and living, you can live comfortably when transitioning into a new career. If I was in LA, I would have been struggling and like renting a couch to sleep on, because I wouldn't be making a whole lot of money to survive and have my own place. Plus, I want my first steps, um, on production, and you go where the jobs are, and that's Atlanta.
Okay, cool. You said you also used to be a hairstylist, right?
Yes, yes. Can you
Uh,
tell?
yeah. Did this experience help you like in any way?
Yeah. So, um, I am a hairstylist. That's my first career. I am a filmmaker,
Hmm.
and I'm a film director. And a director needs to have, to me, a good director has to have the communication skills and to connect with people. Okay. I met directors who are cinematographers and really don't know how to talk to actors. And I think to get the best out of people is have that human contact. And as a hairstylist, you that's what you do. You have physical contact, mental contact with people. And as a director for myself, I use that skill set to work with actors and also work with the crew. Okay. Um, it's it also creates since I was in art, it's an artistic skill. I was, having that artistic mindset of problem solving because each head is different when you cut. So I'm already problem solving naturally. Whatever problem pops up, I'm problem solving. As a director, as a filmmaker, you're always solving problems. Okay, if there's a day where I don't solve a problem, there's a problem because that's not filming. You're always trying to solve a problem on set. And working with my clients and then working with crew and working with my staff in the salon and the barbershop, it's a to me it's already it's a skill set that I've been developing for the last 15-20 years. So it's a natural progression.
Okay, yeah. Uh, you also like appear in your film, talking about I assume like some pretty personal, pretty emotionally scarring stuff. Uh, what was that about? Were you scared to like emotionally like pour your heart out for everyone to see?
Okay, so since I was casting on this webpage, Craigslist, to find people, I was interviewing the actors, and when I was editing, something was missing. I was almost done with editing, and I was like, man, there's just something missing. I don't know what it is. And then I walked away from the edit. I walked away for about 5 days and just stepped away from the project. And having this subconscious mind, like there's something missing. What is it? And the answer was I need to beef it up. I need to bring a little bit more emotions because I wasn't always getting the a lot of emotions out of people. It's fragmented. So I was like, screw it. I'm not an actor, but I think I could do this. Sure, let's do this. So I jumped in front of the camera. That was a task. It's like you set the camera there and you roll it, and then you sit back down. You do something, test it out, and you get back up, go around the camera, and you like going back in the circle. What would take regular 2 hour filming took me 8 hours because I was just going around and around, around and around, around and around. But I chose to show vulnerability for myself, for the cat for within the project. Um, it's not nothing I'm ashamed of. It's definitely something to. It's not talked about a lot. So I brought something to the project that is really not talked about. Men do grieve about miscarriages. We do. We don't express it because it's not part of our body, but it is a part of us.
Mm.
The miscarriage is not our burden to give birth, but we're still connected of some sort, spiritually and faithfully. And it's heartbreaking. And I was going through. I moved here with a girlfriend, broke up with the girl right before the project started. So there was a lot of therapeutical stuff coming out too.
Mm.
So it helped. It helped the project out, and that's what matters. So
Yeah.
as if the job gets done by me joining the project, okay, let's get the job done.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Uh, I have a question here. That just say ask about God.
About
God.
the girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, or the miscarriage?
No, God. As if.
Oh, God.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
God.
the spiritual sense. And what is the question exactly?
I don't know. I've written it like a week ago. I forgot already.
Okay, okay. Um, okay. So at the end, there's a serenity prayer, and the idea at the end of the film, it's how do people get themselves out of ego, out of
Hmm.
self, out of their ruts, their negative thinking. And so I put the serenity prayer in there. And so serenity prayer for me comes from, it is a Christian base, but it actually comes from, not actually, but we use it in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous.
Hmm.
I'm a recovered alcoholic.
Hmm.
I celebrated 8 years not too long ago, a couple months ago, and the Serenity Prayer helps. But what really helps is choose the God of your own understanding. That's that was an aha moment. That's what gets me the most
Hmm.
is that there, in my own belief, God, the all-knowing, the universe around us is infallible. So therefore, if you we put okay, I this is how I explain God. We put God in a box. Okay, we're like this is God. We put him in the box, close the lid. This is who God is. Okay, this is all the religions. This is all the understanding who God is. So we understand Him in this box. That's how we understand God. Who gave you the material to build the box? Do you understand?
Uh, uh,
You don't. Okay. All right.
I don't know what the answer is, but I understand.
There is well the okay, so you build this box out of wood, okay, and you put a padlock on it, and you
Hmm.
put God of what you understand who God is. Like say, you say Judaism, like a Jew. Jews understand God a certain way than other religions. So a Jew will put God in a box and say, "All right, Jews, this is who God is. In this box is Judaism. Okay, this is how I understand God." Or you can say that about Christianity. Christians put God in the box, in this wooden box with padlocks. Like this is Christianity. This is who God is. But my question is, who made the wood for you to make the box?
Some guy, I
God did.
guess.
God made the trees. God made the
Uh-huh.
wood.
Okay.
God made the materials to make the padlock. So God is allowing us to constrict Him so we can understand Him.
Ah, okay. Ah, it's
Okay.
kind of like that Bible metaphor about the jars of clay. Like humans are like jars of clay with God puts a soul on them, but we're inside with dirty like clay.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it's we can't understand God fully, but we can understand Him limitedly. So if we had the all understanding of God upon us, there's stories that we can combust or we die instantly or whatever. But we can't understand God fully. We can feel Him or her as in love or as compassion, um, or even the threatening God of hate, which is like the wrath of God. Not it's not hate, but wrath is a an attack or like you're at war. You feel that type of passion. So when in AA, a lot of people in AA are hesitant about God. So that's why they choose to say, choose the God of your own understanding.
Mm,
It doesn't
okay.
matter what you believe in, as
Mm,
long as you believe in something greater than yourself. And in this film that I made, it so happens that one of the actress, I didn't know about it until the very end, that she's her native tongue, she's Indian.
mm,
So she has a totally different belief than I am. I'm like, whoa, okay, wonderful. Give me a prayer, give me a mantra, give me something that represents you and your belief. And you hear it at the end of the short. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. Would you say that like LA, California is like hostile towards Christians?
Say that again.
Would you say that LA, California is hostile towards Christians?
Um, so if I okay, so LA is a very liberal, very artsy fartsy type of city. And
Yeah.
are they like is Christianity big out there? It is,
Mm.
but more on the lifestyle. As when I say lifestyle, I mean that it's taught in the fact that it's an everyday event, as in um, it's not the old 1990s and 80s Christian style of church. It is new age. When I say new age, it's taught in the fact of like my pastor Tim Story. He teaches the Bible as a life lesson or a um, life coach,
Okay.
motivator.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, so it's taught that way in LA because there's a lot of artists out there, and a lot of artists don't like to be. It's not structured. They don't like the structuring of the old style church. They like the new age style of teaching Christianity,
Okay.
which is does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. Like, there's like a common stereotype that like very like urban, very liberal places that like very like this new age stuff and kind
Hmm.
of mix everything together. Okay,
Yeah,
I
because
think.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I think that's like enough material, and I'm like for ready for like a last question. Did
Sure,
you like what's your further plans for like your filmmaking and like for this film specifically? Like, what do you want to do next? Where you want to go next? And what do you want to do with this film next?
sure. Um, my plans. What I'm doing right now is I am developing a script, a micro budget script right now about recovery. Uh, I wanted to do my first film as a passion project, knowing that most likely I'm not going to make profit off of it, which I'm
Mm,
okay with. But I have to make sure it's a big passion project. So I'm going to be working with a I'm going to be working with a nonprofit organization to help me raise money for a movie, a full feature film about recovery. So
mm,
I'm working on that, developing on that. I started I started my film production. It's called Rustic Light Bulb, which is really cool. And then I have other scripts in mind, not in mind, in hand. One's a murder mystery that frames Bigfoot, and then I have a motorcycle culture finding family style movie, action packed. So those are on the hold because they cost millions of dollars to make.
mm,
So I wanted to create something small and isolated to show people, like, hey, this is what I can do with a little amount of money. How cool is this? Now, let me do a 10 million budget type of thing. Like, let's,
mm.
I want to show what I can do.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, the first movie is going to be a recovery movie.
Yeah, I've heard like a lot of lately. There was a lot of like small indie directors that the big studios they take them and make like some big like Marvel, DC, $100 million movie. And since we're like so small, they like
Yeah,
do what they need, what they say to them to do.
yeah, yeah. A lot of the directors that I come across, their opportunity came from themselves because they want to prove to the studios, like, look, I did this for like $200,000
Hmm.
and it did wonderfully. And if I could do it at this level, just think what I can do for at a level of like 2 million instead of 200,000. Just think what I could do for 2 million if I keep the structure the same. You know, the
Hmm.
serve the money, hold the money back, get what I need, and just be diligent on that part. So I should be filming. See, this is the 8th. I'm hoping to be filming in November.
Mm.
So it's gonna be a good year.
Okay, well, good luck to you and thank you for
Thank you.
this interview. It was pretty engaging. I
Yeah,
think like I recorded everything. Yeah, thanks you a lot again. Like and
thank you. My
yeah,
pleasure. And it's an honor to have this interview. I
yeah,
appreciate you.
it's an honor to
Yeah,
be with you.
yeah. You have a wonderful day. Okay.
Yeah, you too. Thank. Goodbye.
Bye now.